Alright, so even though it doesn't seem like it's not going, it's not going. Why does it do this? Okay, now we going? It did it the glitch again where it was like, it knew it was recording. It was like, okay, hit stop, you want to stop, but the timer wasn't going. It was still at 000. So if you didn't get it, what I was trying to say before was, even though it doesn't feel like it, this is the second part of my comic reviews. I swear it was gonna be 3. Like, I already had 2. I really hope I didn't accidentally delete part 2, thinking I already uploaded it, because I do that thing sometimes where I just keep putting it off, but I'll remember. I was uploading a lot in those videos that, if you want like a more complete version of all of these, like all at once, they're all reviewed all at once and sort of quicker than this, you can go follow my Instagram. It's I'll put it in the description if I remember, but that's where I'll have my comic reviews. I have like my comic hauls too. Everything that's done here for the most part, except for live streams, of course, will be on Instagram. I'll have like a comic reviews, comic hauls, all that. It just in a kind of more concise way, a concise manner. I just like doing both. Now, the first one up, I'm not going to show off because I'm not reviewing this one, but I might not even decide to read Clementine Book 2. It's just one of those things I keep saying to myself, like, you already don't have the morning and most of the afternoon to read books. You get home at 3 on average every day after school, and I work at school, but I call it school. And then it's like, you don't have a whole lot of time to read, and like even 11 is too much to ask for, and yeah, it'll only be 4, including Clementine, but even then, that's basically 11 because of how thick the book is. Didn't really like book 1. And the whole reason why I was reading the Clementine books was to, once and for all, read every last thing from Walking Dead, that in comic form, anyways. And I just did not do it. I might just return the book and just leave it at that, Maybe I'll get up later on, or maybe I'll keep it. This weekend, it's looking like we're going to have yard work to do, so like on the day that we do yard work, and I know I don't have enough time, so I read less, and I put Clementine in that mix. Maybe I'll do it then. Because there's also that Superman Space Age, that's 89 pages per issue, so I may as well just read those 2 back to back or something like that, along with another book, whatever. But I don't know. I really don't want to read that book. Like, I don't want to say I like don't want to read the books. I still want to read it, but it's like I didn't really like that first one. It was kind of boring and took me 2 days to read that book. I don't want to give myself 2 days to read this because I want to jump right onto that other pile that you'll soon see. I'll try to upload it the day after I upload this, so this will come first. Then let's see the books I'll be reading next. I don't know. I'm done with the books right now. I got further ahead than I thought I would, somewhat. So it's kind of like, yeah, I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to give myself a little break, read a few more issues of my books, and then take the rest of the day off, play some video games, or do other stuff besides just reading. Because tomorrow as well be doing all of it, I feel like, and then others if I have to, other stuff other than that. So it's just like, do I even want to read Clementine? I don't know, and I might not. I probably won't, but I will eventually read it. Again, maybe this weekend, if this weekend comes around and I still haven't finished it, then if I start, I'm gonna finish it, of course. But if I don't end up bringing it at all, then I'll return it, and then get it, and then check it out again later on. But let's get on to the actual comics I finished. This will probably get my pick of the week, and it's like out of all of them, because again, like it was basically think of it was the part, the one I was showing Preacher and then all the other books as. Think of that as part 1. This is part 2. They're the same set of comics, but one was part 1 and one was part 2, because I had to return some of them. I couldn't return it. Unfortunately, I can't return them all at the same time. Not even half and half, which I kind of already did, but not even like the majority of them. I mean, even back then I was kind of like, isn't changing because of my job. It's always been that way, just because of since our new rule. But anyways, this would probably get my pick of the week out of all the books I've read, and that is The Waiting Place. Again, in its stack I've read. This one was a huge surprise because Sean Kelly McKeever, I did not like his Outpost Zero at all. I considered to be extremely lame, and it felt like it was, even though it was teen plus, it felt like it was going for an even younger audience. It was really weird in that stance, in that stance too. But this one, I mentioned this in my next video, but the way my room is so small that if I have like my shoes, like you see that closet right there, if I have two pairs of shoes, one right in front of the other, I can't like kneel here and be comfortable. I have to kind of go slanted this way, and I don't, unless I move the shoes. So I'll forget, and I'll move this way. I'm like, oh, shoes in the way. The room is so damn small. It's funny. They're trying to be like, oh, you got so many comics, and we're gonna limit the amount of comics you get. Yeah, you have a small fucking room, not my fucking world. Anyways, Waiting Place, definitely my pick of the week. Everything about this book I loved. The character is really good. One minor downside is I kind of lost who was who. Most of I knew who it was. Like, okay, that one's she's her. She's Laura. That one is spelled Lora. This one is Kyle. Some of them are memorable because they're just like so different from the other characters. But it's not because the characters are written the same. It's kind of like, okay, Jeffrey is the guy who looks like this. I think part of it is because of the artwork. I feel like some of them were drawn a bit too similar to one another. But that is a very small nitpick, because this book is like absolutely fantastic. I would even go so far as to saying 10 out of 10, and this would be, it definitely would be in my top 20. Probably at number 20, but definitely in top 20 comics of all time. This is an absolutely fantastic book. Highest recommendation possible. Now on to 2 volumes of Black Science. This is actually my personal collection, I may add. Now I have to read 2 of these per month now, because I want to get the all 9 volumes finished by December, because I want that to be like the, you know, and at the end of December, at the end of the year, like probably even on New Year's Eve, I'll stack up all the Image books in my personal collection that I've read this year. Reads count and review them all, like, as is, maybe even rank them. This, unfortunately, would be somewhere in the middle. I have lost the plot completely, that I could read this book backwards and not notice a thing until I notice some differences. This book is all over the place. Seems like there's way too many characters. I'm like losing. Okay, these characters are. He's that one. Things happen in this comic. Like, one comic ended like huge cliffhanger, and it wasn't until halfway into. I think it happens at end of book 1. I can't remember. And then book 2 comes around. Halfway through book 2, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This big thing happened. Maybe it's me. Maybe just by sheer coincidence, every time I read Black Science, I just have so much on my mind that I'm like missing crucial details, like gloss right over them because I'm so distracted. But it hasn't really happened, and you would think that, and I'll catch myself and reread that page of like, okay, gotta not do that again. But I don't know, it's very all over the place. I still like it. I just think it's good. So glad I bought it 2 years ago. But definitely I'll have to read again to give like a true review. When I do it at the end of December, I'll give you guys how I feel with the comic as a whole. And as a whole, I think it's good. I do recommend it, obviously, for Recommender fans above all else. And if you're a Recommender fan, you've already picked that up, more than likely. Josie and the Pussycat, starting out pretty strong. There wasn't a whole lot of terrible jokes. And when they were terrible jokes, it was either told in jest, like they knew it was terrible, and that was kind of the joke. But then I think it's like issue 2 or 3 out of the 5 issues series thus far. There's only 12, or is it 10? I think it's 10. There's 2 volumes. And I always thought of this as being 6 issues. That's how Archie was. But anyways, and then you get to issue like 2 or 3, and they end on this like super like after school special manner. I'm gonna spoil something that happens in Josie and the Pussycats by Margaret Bennett. At the end of, I want to say issue 2 or 3, they have like this rival gang who's like really going after them, like really nasty, and they get to their like the motivation behind why they did what they did, and they're like, oh, we want to be part of the band, and like, why didn't you just say so? That is literally how that issue ends. And there is no sense of irony whatsoever. They make a joke about it after, but they still did the thing, and it's kind of forgotten about too. But other than that, it's pretty enjoyable. The artwork is pretty good. Pacing for the most part is pretty good, but middle of the road, 5 out of 10. Oh wait, no, Black Science I would say 7 out of 10. I have talked about this next book so many times that even if you're somewhat still relatively new, like the last 5 months, like you joined me 5 months ago, you've probably heard me at least talk about this book before, and that is Planet of the Apes by Gabriel Hartman. I have talked about this book so many times that I'm gonna keep it brief. It is one of my favorite comics of all time. Top 30. I wouldn't go so far as to say top 20, but it has perfect pacing, and each time I read it, I discover more and more about it because how so much is going because of how much is going on in this comic in a good way, not in a Black Science way, in a good way. And then it just makes the reread even more special because I'll catch more and more details. Fantastic comic. If you are itching for more Planet of the Apes after watching the recent movie, go here next. There's a reason why I made it adamant that I finish off my Gabriel Hardman / Karina Sora Bechko Image Comics run. How I want to say, like everything they did for Image. Not a whole lot though. I thought that was more, but it wasn't. Rogue and Gambit by Stephanie Phillips. I am a sort of Stephanie Phillips apologist because I don't think she's that bad of a writer. But I read this, then I read this, and I was like, they have a point. It's not bad. It's just bland, boring, and very forgettable. Like I would read, like I read because I had to finish this for this video and for tomorrow. So again, when I get on that next stack of books, and I want to mix this one with that one. You'll see why I didn't want to do that when you see the video being uploaded. There's a point to that. But it's very, and I had to read 3 issues today because of that, because I want to get it finished today. I kid you not, like, at the, issue 4 comes around, I'm like, what happened in issue 3? I literally said it myself. I wasn't distracted, wasn't no, I was reading it how I normally read a comic, and I could barely remember what I just read. Even now, I can't really think of what I just read. I remember some details, but could not tell you how the book starts out either. Forgettable, boring, and bland. Maybe on a reread this will improve, but I do want to read it again somewhat soon, but not worth the insanely long wait because someone had checked it out for 20 months and it was due at their library in April, and they had in April of 2023, and they've had it it was really long. It wasn't actually that long, but it felt like it was that long. It was crazy. I feel like after a month, the library should revoke or at least temporary ban on their account. 1 week is 2 weeks afterwards. There's no excuse for that. A week, fine. If your book is due August 30th and it's been a week, I get it. Things happen, but anything after that, that's gonna be a write-up. I actually meant that, and it sounds stupid the way I said it, but it's another way of saying it really. But it's gonna have to be get email, send the letter home. I don't care if your library has a fine-free account or your library no longer fines you, like my local library does. They should start fining you at that point. Deathstroke Volumes 1 and 2. This is one of those books that I had 2 open slots. Okay, put in Deathstroke Volume 2. Unfortunately, I thought this was just 2 volumes. There's 4. Which is really unfortunate because I'm really digging this series. This was really damn good. It's nothing groundbreaking. It definitely is. This isn't technically New 52. It's Convergence, but it does have that same feel. But it's also enjoyable. It's also really fast-paced, action-packed, and just enjoyable. It's just a fun book. To turn off your brain, to those of you who are huge Deathstroke fans, I haven't read too much of Deathstroke, so I can't say if it assassinates the character or if he's written so differently here. He's really unnoticeable, really noticeable from his, from his past self, whatever the hell, from the comics that came beforehand. I can't say that for sure, but I still like this book. It's fun, enjoyable. It's all I need. I keep forgetting to do out of 10s. Planet of the Apes, 10 out of 10. Josie Pussycats already did. Rogue and Gambit, 4 out of 10. Deathstroke, 8 out of 10. Gotham Academy. This is why I do rereads. The first time I read this book, the only reason I kept reading was because of the cliffhanger at the end of this volume. I am going to continue on this series from now on because I really enjoyed this series. Sometimes I really don't know what mindset I was in before, because I kept hating on this book. I just did not like it at all. Considered it to be Brendan Fletcher's second worst comic since Batgirl. And Becky Cloonan's worst comics. That's all I have read by her. I hadn't read a whole lot. Just considered to be just terrible. I did not like it at all. And this, again, I do not know what mindset I was in to keep not liking it. Like, it's one thing if you just weren't in the mood for it, but still, like, damn. Because now I really like this book. It's fast-paced. Not as fast-paced as something Deathstroke, but still very damn good. And I now understand why Omar liked it so much. I'm getting Omar from Near Condition, who is, yes, is my main inspiration. But 8 out of 10. Gotham City Sirens, still enjoyable. I think it was the second volume where I was really enjoying it, and that's why, as a whole, I said get the omnibus. I don't even care like how much you have to spend, how much you have to pay for it. It's worth it. Because it came out recently. Also, I just had said omnibus is coming. I didn't know when exactly it come out. It came out like months before, even back when I was saying it back then, like I first read it. But I still say get the omnibus. But this volume was a bit weaker than I remember it being, but only a bit. Mainly because of one issue by Tony Bedard. I don't know why it's not all written by Paul Dini. I imagine it's because of the fact that he couldn't read every last issue. Come on, I silenced you. Did not have to answer that. I knew it was a telemarketer person. Preacher, Book 1. I've read this book so many times. Most of you already know this is my favorite comic of all time, and it still is to this day. It juggles several genres: Western, action, religion, road trip, and somehow makes each genre just as interesting as the last one. It is just an absolute 10 out of 10 comic. Fantastic. My favorite comic of all time, still to this day. And there was a reason for it. Oh, and 8 out of 10 for Gotham City Sirens. I know, I'm very out of order. 8.5 I'd say, because I don't put it as the same, on the same pedestal as Gotham Academy. I know, very unorganized, but I should get for non-edited videos. I don't believe to edit my videos. It's just me doing it for fun. And I don't think editing is fun. I know I should. Eventually I will. That's my New Year's resolution, in fact. Batgirl, Volume 2. Nightfall Descends. Yeah, I don't know why I said the volume. Exactly. I don't know why I didn't just say Batgirl Volume 2. I like this run. I am a Gail Simone Batgirl apologist. I'm a Stephanie Phillips apologist. Because I don't understand in the slightest why people don't like this run. It is the same. It has a perfect tone for Batgirl. The stories are very interesting. The dialogue isn't really that bad, like considering what Gail Simone writes in the future, like from this book. And even then, I couldn't pick a Gail Simone book I've hated. Maybe it's like Gail Simone's writing. I don't know, but I like this run. It deserved the omnibus. Batgirl at Burnside can go burn in hell. Ha ha. That's the Brendan Fletcher run. And the whole reason why I hate Brendan Fletcher as a writer, and I used to hate him as a writer. Now I consider him to be a pretty decent writer. But because of his Batgirl run, I will never call him a good writer, no matter what he writes. Because his Batgirl run is so deplorable, I still say that. And even like this Black Canary in Gotham City Sirens, those aren't like spectacular. They're just decent. Like decent meaning a 6 out of 10. Gotham Academy, actually, and I said 8 out of 10 for Gotham Academy. I should say like 6.5 to 7 out of 10. I'll be generous and say 7 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for Batgirl. I mean that, actually. Then last but not least, Batman Fortress. Now, I did watch Thinking Critical's videos, and his criticisms are valid. They make sense, but they're nitpicks. They become big, huge criticisms. They're nitpicks. A lot of them, I get them. I get where he's going, but I still think his book is pretty damn good. Now, one criticism he gave that was not a nitpick was that it's very dialogue heavy. It is. I kind of forgot how dialogue heavy it was. That was definitely what hurts this book's pacing overall, but it is still a 7 out of 10 book. It has gone down significantly because of the pacing, but still worth your read. Still worth reading it at least once. And that, as I say, is that. This video was only 20 minutes. We're going what, 10 books? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Of course it's 13. Of course it's 13. But 11. Technically 12, because I would never count Volume 3 as its own separate thing of a series that I'm reading 2 volumes of. Same thing with Deathstroke, so really just it was what we said, 11. Alright. That says that. Oh, wait, I can't put that away. Alright. That's it.